to this now. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is to be formally charged with plotting to overturn his 2020 election defeat. Trump, the frontrunner for the 2024 Republican presidential nomination, is scheduled to appear in a Washington, D.C. court. Trump faces 4 counts, including conspiracy to defraud the U.S., to deprive citizens of their right to have their votes counted, and to obstruct an official proceeding. The most serious charge carries a maximum prison sentence of 20 years. In a series of social media posts, Trump frames the indictment as an attempt to derail his campaign. The campaign has issued a statement comparing the Biden administration to a fascist regime. The indictment is the third in 4 months for Trump. He may soon face more charges in Georgia, where a state prosecutor is investigating his attempts to overturn the election there. Let's stay with us and speak to SABC News Correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease, who joins us live now from New York. Sherwin, while Donald Trump will be arrested and arraigned to start the judicial process in this case, we've seen some similar scenes play out before, during his previous indictments. Preview how, of course, the day is likely to unfold in a Washington, D.C. federal court later today, because a lot of us are waiting to see.
Bongiwe, don't let that sense of deja vu smack you right in the face, right? Donald Trump will leave his Bedminster, New Jersey golf estate in a matter of certainly within this hour, one imagines. He will fly to Washington, D.C., a short trip from New Jersey, and he will be then transported in a Secret Service convoy to the federal courthouse, where he will be officially arrested. He will be booked and charged. He will then wait for about an hour before he will appear before a federal judge, where he will be arraigned formally, where the indictment will be presented to him. He will then plead, one expects, not guilty, given the 2 previous indictments we've lived through already this year. And then he will be released on his own recognizance. Bail will not be sent. You will remember that Donald Trump, of course, is a former president of the United States and the current Republican frontrunner for president in 2024. He will then be released. He will then return probably to one of his estates, most likely back to New Jersey. We're not sure if he will address the media as he has done in previous indictments. But in terms of the media frenzy, the premium on local and federal law enforcement outside and inside that courtroom, that will be at a really high standard today. Law enforcement saying they are not expecting any disruptions. They have received no credible threats of protests, but the scenes are going to be quite similar to what we saw play out in Miami, Florida, when he was federally indicted on charges related to classified documents, the willful retention of classified documents in June, and of course the scenes we saw play out in April this year when he was indicted on state charges as it relates to hush money payments during the 2016 election. So certainly a lot of pandemonium, a lot of attention around the federal courthouse in DC, and if you're a local resident, one imagines you'll be avoiding the precinct where the media and law enforcement is camped out this afternoon.
And speaking about scenes, Sherwin, we've all witnessed those horrific scenes at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th, 2021, when Trump supporters stormed Congress while lawmakers were certifying the 2020 election result. And this was a visual culmination of his alleged efforts to undermine the election result. So what else do the 4 counts tell us about the legal jeopardy that he now faces here?
Here's a little factoid that maybe our viewers are not familiar with. 561 federal defendants, Bongiwe, have had their cases adjudicated and received sentences for their criminal activity as it relates to the January 6th attack on the United States Congress, while lawmakers were certifying the 2020 election results, which of course Joe Biden won. And approximately 335 of those defendants have been sentenced to periods of incarceration. So what you're seeing today is the beginning of a case essentially focused on the protagonist of all of this, the genesis of the lie that the election in 2020 was stolen. And part of that indictment lists 4 counts. 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States applies to Trump's repeated and widespread efforts to falsely claim that the November 2020 election was stolen. Let me just deal with that briefly. This is not an indictment dealing with Donald Trump's ability to say what he wants, to even lie, to knowingly lie about the election. election. That is a First Amendment right. You can say what you want in the United States. This is not what the indictment's about. The indictment is about perpetuating the lie and then trying to clandestinely subvert the election results. So that when you look at one count of conspiracy to obstruct the official proceeding, remember the obstruction of that certification process in Congress, and one count of conspiracy against rights, referring to voters' rights, essentially seeking to disenfranchise the people that voted for Joe Biden, who won the election. And so Trump sought to pressure lawmakers, for example, federal and state lawmakers, to impair, obstruct and defeat the federal process for certifying the election results, culminating, of course, in that attack on Congress. And this included, you have to understand the Electoral College in the United States. If you win a state in the United States, you then win the Electoral College votes that go with that state. The Electoral College votes are then sent to Congress for the certification process. Donald Trump sought, and his allies sought to have fake electors sent to the certification process, and this is what the indictment charges is illegal. So a lot to answer for. That process, of course, begins today.
And Sherwin, as we speak during the course of the evening, one really needs to also zoom into the political moment, that this is, because we cannot view it in just in isolation and not look at, what it means then in the context of next year. But I'm told we're out of time. Let me thank you for your time. That is SABC News Correspondent Sherwin Bryce-Pease. Of course, so we'll bring you more of those live visuals and as well as what happens in court. Sherwin is watching every single development front and center. So we'll bring you more on that.